To Nigeria, Sophia Adengo. Sophia, good evening and thank you so much for joining us. Now, first things first, what has the death toll risen?
Well, what we do know so far is the incidents that happened in Kano late this evening, about 4 p.m. local time in Yola. Yola happens to be in the northern part of Nigeria, and the blast that happened in Kano. Now, just after the Yola attacks happened less than 24 hours ago, and the attacks that have happened are in Kano. These are two distinct areas that have seen the major brunt of Boko Haram attacks over the last 6 years, and the current attack, the death toll has risen from about 3 to 5, but there is indeed a concerted effort now to really be more vigilant within the city. This attack happened at 4 p.m. when people were in the middle of their commute and stopping to attend to their matters in a marketplace. Very usual when it comes to the evening commute here in Nigeria. So at this moment, the death toll is at about 5, and there is continued vigilance in Kano as a result of these twin blasts due to 2 suicide bombers who happen to be female.
Now, Sophia, in terms of who is responsible for the attacks, is there anyone who has claimed responsibility? Because we understand earlier on, Boko Haram had not claimed immediate responsibility.
Well, no known sect or group has come out openly to claim these attacks. However, it's also, really quite premature. Investigations are ongoing both in Kano and in Yola. But, these attacks really do bear the evidence of continued Boko Haram attacks. In the attacks, you see the use of female suicide bombers or persons who, want to maximize their effect in these soft targets areas, either places of worship or a place like a marketplace, as in the case of today in Kano. So no known group has come out to claim these attacks. However, Boko Haram is very, highly suspect at this point.
Now, Sophia, President Muhammadu Buhari came into power with a ticket to fight Boko Haram and terrorism in general. Let's look at his quest. Will these attacks derail his mission?
Well, I will say this, absolutely not. If anything, they will continue to rally him, President Muhammadu Buhari, to move forward in really becoming even more vigilant. The purpose of his visit in Yola on Saturday was really to make sure that there is a considered approach to fighting Boko Haram in terms of troop numbers and also in making strides. A lot of the towns that were overtaken by Boko Haram in the past 2 and 3 years were pushed back, and Boko Haram seems to be making a retreat into forested areas or areas where they cannot be easily found. Also, making a concerted effort to be able to garner funds, making rounds or trips around the world, looking at some of the major key players in the world, be it France or the United States or even Russia and Germany, to really join the fight in fighting this insurgency that has really caused considerable damage. It's estimated over 20,000 people in this country have died as a result of Boko Haram's attacks, and not to mention the displaced persons. On a regular basis, we see them in internally displaced camps. We have gone to visit a few, and you see the devastation of almost 2 million people displaced from their homes as a result of these violent efforts that have been put forward by Boko Haram. So indeed, President Muhammadu Buhari is making a considerable effort, comparatively, really, to make sure that Boko Haram does indeed retreat, and at some point will completely stop these heinous acts.
Sophia, let's shift focus now and look at the joint military force between Chad, Cameroon, Niger and Nigeria. Is it still as strong as it was in the beginning, considering that Boko Haram has been focusing a lot of their attacks on those countries that I've mentioned?
Well, when SABC spoke to the military spokesperson about this very issue, he reiterated that the military is indeed joining forces with its neighbors. Before, there seemed to be some frosty relations between Nigeria and Cameroon and maybe some of the other countries. But, you know, all that is being put aside to be able to make a concerted focus in fighting insurgency, especially in this area that's called the Lake Chad Basin area, in which you have Cameroon, Chad, Niger, and Nigeria really making a concerted effort to place, a focus on this geographical area in which Boko Haram has been rather active. You know, there's consistent killing of persons within these villages. There's the element of recruiting in these small towns, and also geographically, the territory that inhabits these areas makes it extremely, easy for Boko Haram and Boko Haram sects to hide. So there has been indeed a big push in this area with the, troop numbers also climbing. We are at about 8,900 troops. Also the backing of the, African Union security in terms of really making a concerted approach in fighting Boko Haram in Nigeria.
Now, Sophia, with the change in tact of whether it is Boko Haram or whichever insurgency that is committing these crimes currently, because Boko Haram hasn't come out straight to say, this is us, this is our responsibility. The change of tact that we're seeing, attacking marketplaces where they're predominantly full of people and at peak hours. What does this mean for the people on the ground in terms of security, and what does Nigeria need to do, as well as Chad, Niger, as they work together in this joint effort to curb the surge of Boko Haram and other insurgents?
Well, internal security is really the name of the game. Securing Nigeria is really the essence of fighting Boko Haram. You must remember that Boko Haram since 2009 has been active in the parts of northern Nigeria where it was birthed, and has indeed somehow found a way to make a significant mark here in Nigeria. It's also interesting to note that all the other countries also looked at Nigeria as a force that was not fighting hard enough in terms of bringing down the insurgency, but have changed their approach and realized that Nigeria is really in over their heads. Now, I really must say that, in the day-to-day activity of trying to assess who is a terrorist and who is not is really just one of those big battles that Nigerians have to face. The engagement of community and community policing has also been rather helpful. There is a concerted effort to also increase intelligence and training of the military to be able to incorporate all these elements in really trying to fight the insurgency. However, as you can see, this is a battle that will be ongoing despite measures by the Nigerian military and President Muhammad Buhari to put a deadline to the stop of such violence.
Sophia, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you very much for the update.